You were tuned in to episode 146, Goodfellas Podcast. Your boy G5 Jeff TV, aka G5, aka 5, aka the Guru. Big shout out to VP Shane. Big shout out to Boxing First Vlog. Your boy riding solo today, but I don't care. We here to talk boxing, so that's what we gonna do. Big shout out to the team, though. Big shout out to Ty Finney, aka the legend, doing big things over there on his channel and on his podcast, man. Definitely give him a follow. Big shout out to the family. You know what I'm saying? But we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. I'm gonna wait a couple seconds, let a couple people get up in here. You know what I'm saying? Well, we got a lot to talk about. Spence, Keith Thurman got approved by the sanctioning body. Tank, Hector Luis Garcia, pay-per-view. We definitely got to talk about that. Ryan Garcia looks like he's going to be fighting in January. The kid that signed the Golden Boy, Schofield, I think he actually gave up the news accidentally on a interview that he did. If you in here and you listening, man, put a one in the comment section if you can hear me correctly. That's tradition. What we do when I'm dolo. You know what I mean? I got to make sure I'm sounding right, before I get started cooking. You know what I'm saying? If you can hear me correctly, put a 1 in the comment section. Put a 1 in the comment section. But, of course, people are still, talking about Bud and, just the consensus that he's ducking this fight with Errol Spence. Is a lot to talk about, and that's not even like the hardcore stuff. Like, we still got Prograis and Zapata coming up this weekend. We had Hakeem Rockmire Jr. take a loss against Greg Hardy, who was a former football player that had a lot of personal issues, domestic issues, and things like that. So he went over to MMA, and now he's in boxing. So that fight happened. It's so much going on. We gotta definitely wrap. But big shout out to Boxing First Vlog, though. Man out here working hard. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to him. Big shout out to VP Shane as well. I'm gonna give people a second to get on in here. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm feeling good today. We're gonna get started from the rip. I'm putting the link in the chat. You wanna get in here and talk with your boy? It's right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna assume y'all can hear me correctly, but Errol Spence and Keith Thurman has gotten approved, and actually PBC Al Heyman basically put in a request for the fight to go down in February of 2023. Now, me personally, of course, I'm like everybody else. I wanted to see Spence and Bud. Not happening right now, if at all. And it is what it is. I'm tired of pointing fingers at this person and that person and speculating and things like that. So I don't want to do that anymore. So just bottom line is the fight not happening, and we got to move on. So Bud is fighting Evan on December 10th, and it looks like we're getting Spence and Keith Thurman. And it's interesting because usually when a fighter says they don't want to fight another fighter for whatever reason, the majority of the people will call it a duck. Now, Spence been saying for years that he wasn't going to give Keith Thurman an opportunity. He would never get in the ring with Keith Thurman. He would never fight Keith Thurman. And a lot of boxing fans just accepted it. You know what I'm saying? They just accepted it. It's just like, oh well, he don't want to fight him, so okay, cool. You know, but when Keith Thurman had the straps and Spencer's on the come up, he took a lot of criticism. You know what I'm saying? Like Keith Thurman took a lot of criticism for not fighting Errol Spence when Spence was like young, and people was upset because Floyd Mayweather was throwing Spence's name around, and basically Floyd was trying to bait Keith Thurman into fighting Errol Spence because Keith Thurman was on his heels, years and years ago. So, but we just always accepted the fact that Spence just didn't want to fight him because he just, he don't like Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman didn't give him an opportunity while he was on the come up. I don't think that's a good enough excuse. I don't think that's a good enough excuse. At the end of the day, we have to. My thing is this: like, I just want people to be consistent in their criticism. You can have a favorite side of the street. You can be pro PBC, you can be pro Top Rank, you can be pro Eddie Hearn, you can be pro Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, you could be pro Showtime and Fox, or you could be pro The Zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, wherever your loyalties lie, that's cool. It's not a problem. But when you see the party that you don't favor as much, doing something, you have a certain energy when you call them out. You should have that same energy for your favorite side of the street. You should actually have more expectations for that side of the street. So, for instance, if you're a PBC fan, if PBC puts on a bad pay-per-view, a pay-per-view that doesn't belong on pay-per-view, you need to call it. It doesn't matter if you're an Al Heyman fan. It doesn't matter if you're a PBC fan. It doesn't matter. If PBC does something that you don't like and you're a PBC fan, you should still call them out on it. You know what I'm saying? If Top Rank did something wrong, call them out on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to hold these people accountable. You know what I'm saying? Got to hold them accountable at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Got to hold these people accountable. So we're looking at Spence and Thurman February of next year. To be honest with you, I love the matchup. I love the matchup. I know a lot of people clown Keith Thurman. A lot of people, make fun of him for various reasons. I feel like he did not capitalize on the prime of his career because of layoffs and injuries and things like that. But Keith Thurman has only been beat by Manny Pacquiao. And I'm not going to lie, I thought Keith Thurman won that fight by 1 point. And I know I'm in a minority on that, but I thought Keith Thurman won that fight 114, 113 with the knockdown. Even with him getting knocked down, I thought he won 7 rounds of 5. Thought he pulled out the last couple of rounds. I think Errol Spence and Keith Thurman is a good matchup. It's a really good matchup, but it's not going to get the good light because everybody wants to see Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, understandably so. You got Terence Crawford and Evanesian. Evanesian's ranked number 6. You know what I'm saying? He's ranked number 6 in Buzz weight sanctioned body belt. You know what I'm saying? And Evanesian's run off 6 straight. Evanesian's not no bum. He's not a bum at all. You know what I'm saying? If you want to say he's a C plus fighter, I'm cool with that. If you want to say he's a B minus fighter, I think that might be stretching it. I think a C plus or C fighter, but he got power though. He got power. He got an awkward style, and that's a recipe to give guys problems. You know what I'm saying? That's a recipe to give guys problems. But nobody wants to see Bud and Evanesian because everybody wants to see Bud and Spence. So I get it. It's not the fight. It's the timing of these fights. And it's just something that we just have to deal with at the end of the day. It's something we have to deal with at the end of the day. And it just seemed like what's dominating the actual internet right now, social media, whether you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, there's some type of conversation of why the negotiations didn't work, whose fault is it, things like that. And it's just me personally, I'm just tired of hearing that talk. Bottom line is it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And you can point the finger wherever you want to point it. You know what I'm saying? You can point it at Spence, you can point it at Al, you can point it at Bud, you can point it at a lot of different things. The bottom line is we're not getting a fight. And to be honest with you, part of the reason why we're not getting this fight is because from a business standpoint, they don't know what kind of numbers this fight is going to do. They do not know what kind of numbers this fight is going to do. And this is why I'm like, people need to be consistent in their opinion. They need to be consistent in their opinion. So I know I was listening to something earlier where they were saying, like, hey, like Bud is not a pay-per-view star, this, that, and the third. And my thing is this: if you're not a pay-per-view star, that's cool. But Errol Spence is supposed to be the pay-per-view guy. He's supposed to be the cash cow. Like, you can't be the pay-per-view guy and quote unquote one of the cash cows. And business wise, you can't figure out whether a pay-per-view is going to do numbers or not. That's a lot of the reason why this fight is not happening. Like, the numbers don't add up. The numbers don't add up. Errol Spence has millions of fans. Millions. Terrence Crawford has millions of fans. Millions. But it really comes down to this. Are you going to pay $80 to support your fighter, or just support the event, or support Al Heyman, or support whoever you think you're supporting by paying the $80? Or are you going to view it for free because you can? Whether you going to a friend house, whether you going to a fight party, whether you got the good old fire stick, which one are you going to do? And I've had this discussion before. If you give 10 people the option of watching Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence for $80 versus watching it for free, any person with common sense is going to pick the free option. They're going to pick the free option. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the reason why Bud and Spence is not happening is because what are you going to offer them? Like, seriously, like, what are you going to offer them money wise where you're going to feel comfortable either A, getting your money back, or B, actually making money? Like, that's really what it comes down to. Is like, this is one of the biggest fights you could possibly make. Yes, it's a prize fight, but it's only a prize fight for the fighters. Promoters ain't gonna make no money off of it. You know what I'm saying? The network really ain't gonna make no money off of it if it doesn't sell a good amount of pay-per-views. I remember watching Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter, and that fight was on a pay-per-view. I'm not gonna lie. I was getting ready to order it. It was about 200 people that had it on Instagram. It was about 200 people that had it on Instagram. So I watched it on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know what kind of numbers this fight is going to do. And you can be a hardcore Spence fan, you can be a hardcore Bud fan. It don't matter what side of the street you on. You can't guarantee a certain pay-per-view number for this fight. So the people that's listening right now, put in the comment section, how many pay-per-view buys do you think Spence and Bud do? Put in the comment section, how many pay-per-view buys do you think Spence versus Bud Crawford will do? And you're going to see anything around, just in my personal conversations with people, I've seen anywhere from 400,000 to like 800,000. But for the numbers that Terrence Bud Crawford want, for the numbers that Spence want, the significance of the fight, that might be the best fight to be made in the past 5, 10 years in terms of talent and significance. But you really don't know what to pay these guys. You don't know what to pay these guys. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that goes. It's gonna be real interesting to see how that goes. But people are just like upset with the pay-per-views. Like, and it don't matter what side of the street you're on, whether you're on the PBC side of the street, no matter whether you're on the ESPN side of the street, the pay-per-view model is like, I don't want to say it's dead, but it's just oversaturated with just product that's not needed on pay-per-view. Like, we got a bunch of fights now that don't belong on pay-per-view, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. I mean, we had Luis Ortiz and Charles Martin on pay-per-view. There's no way on God's green that that fight should have been on pay-per-view. I understand the business side of it. I understand the business side of it. Luis Ortiz got a guarantee that's high. You know what I'm saying? Luis Ortiz got a guarantee that's high. And Charles Martin probably got a pretty good size guarantee. But at the end of the day, the networks couldn't pay it. So they had to put it on pay-per-view to try to make some money out of it. Bottom line is that fight didn't belong on pay-per-view. They put Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola on pay-per-view. I repeat, Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola on pay-per-view. And there's no disrespect to Chris Arreola. He's been in the game for a long time, been in there with the who's who of fighters in the heavyweight division. And I got a lot of respect for him. But he should not be on anybody's pay-per-view poster. Period. Point blank, period. They gave us Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola pay-per-view. That's a no-no. So then we get Wilder and Helenius. Wilder has millions of fans. He probably got all around the globe. He's probably got 10 million plus fans. 10 million plus fans. And this is an indictment on how bad the pay-per-view model is. Wilder may be the most popular guy in the United States. You understand what I'm saying? In terms of heavyweight, definitely. But it only sold like 80,000. It only did 80,000 pay-per-views. This is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. But his opponent was Robert Helenius. Everybody knew that wasn't a quality matchup, but they put it on pay-per-view. So I'm not picking on PBC, even though I named all PBC pay-per-views. But this is a situation where pay-per-views are just being oversaturated, and we're getting fights and main events that don't belong on pay-per-view. That's the only point I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to take any shots at any particular network. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to my dog, man. Tristan Tree James in the building, man. Big shout out to Tree, man. I see you out there working, baby. Coach Pepe gonna kill me, man. He texted me probably like 2 weeks ago about doing a amateur show, but I want to do an amateur series, and I'm trying to put it together so we can kind of roll it out right. But big shout out to Tristan Tree James, man. That's my dog, man, for sure. Brennan Smith in the building, man. Big shout out to Brennan. He said, I'm thinking that King Ryan can win. We're gonna get into that in a second. We're gonna get into that in a second. But we got Tank Davis and Brennan. We're gonna get into it right now. We got Tank Davis and Hector Luis Garcia. Hector Luis Garcia is a guy that Vlog and I mentioned on the last show prior to the Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia fight being posted on social media by both guys. Now, Hector Luis Garcia is the guy that beat Chris Colbert. And a lot of people don't like Chris Colbert. And I know why. A lot of Chris Colbert at one point was saying he said something about Wilder, and it just it just turned into a thing. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't like Chris Colbert, but Hector Luis Garcia was the late replacement for Chris Colbert, and basically not only beat him, but seemed like he took his will in that fight. So that fight was at 130 pounds. So um, Hector Garcia is going to be coming up in weight to see Tank Davis. And don't get me wrong, I like the fight. Don't get me wrong, I like the fight, but it's on pay-per-view. It's on pay-per-view. Come on, y'all. Come on. Like, people are giving this pay-per-view a pass. People are giving this pay-per-view a pass because they think they're getting Tank Ryan Garcia next. That's just, that's just what it is. That's just what it is. And that's the case, but it still don't change the fact that this fight belongs on regular Showtime. This fight belongs on regular Showtime. There's no way this fight belongs on pay-per-view. Like, you're gonna ask me to pay $80 to go see Hector Luis Garcia come up in weight and fight Tank Davis in a fight where Hector Luis Garcia is going to have to knock Tank Davis out cold if he wants to win. He can win 12-0 on the cards and go and get a draw. They're not going to allow anything to screw up this Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia fight. He going to have to put Tank Davis on the stretcher. They're going to put him on the stretcher. You know what I'm saying? So you're basically asking me to pay $80 for a fight that under normal circumstances, I would say Tank is the heavy favorite. But under these circumstances, it's going to be damn near impossible for Hector Luis Garcia to win this fight. And you want me to pay $80 for that? You want me to pay $80 for that? This falls right into the line of the pay-per-views that don't belong on pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? And I've made this analogy before, but I'm going to say it again. It's like you've been consistently giving me, New York strip steak, you know what I'm saying, shrimp and lobster for dinner, and then you charging me for a double cheeseburger and fries. You know what I'm saying? You giving me a T-bone steak for free, but you charging me for a Five Guys burger. That's essentially what we talking about here. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what we could do to change that. And I think the core of it is really just the business model of boxing. Things get put on pay-per-view because boxers have a high guarantee, and these guarantees get paid out, and the networks can't afford to pay these fighters high guarantees. So they put it on pay-per-view and they ask for the boxing fan to help with the bill. I mean, that's essentially what we're talking about here. That's essentially what we're talking about here. But then they get mad when people go the fire stick route, or they'll watch it at a friend house, or just, one person will order it and like 20 people will be at the crib and they get mad. You know what I'm saying? But Brennan said, I'm thinking that King Ryan can win. I have to make sure this fight is happening first. I know they put it up on their social media, but they put up Spence and Bud too. You know what I'm saying? So we got to make sure this actually happens. But if it does happen, Brennan, it's one. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, Brennan, but this is the key to Ryan Garcia in this fight. He cannot leave out the back door with his hands down. He cannot leave out the back door with his hands down. He cannot. And what I'm talking about is when Ryan Garcia is in the pocket and he's working, he has a tendency to try to leave out of distance, out of the pocket, and his hands is not up. I mean, they don't have to be earmuffs in your, they don't have to be near your ears or anything, but you gotta have your hands up. You gotta be alert. You gotta be aware when you're trying to get out of range. And that's what got him knocked down against Luke Campbell. He was trying to get out of the pocket, trying to get out of range, and his hands was down here near his chest. Luke Campbell comes over the top with a hook, knocks him down. If Tank Davis lands that same shot, you know, Ryan Garcia is counting sheep. You know what I'm saying? He's counting sheep. But if he's leaving out the back door with his hands up and he's defensively responsible when he's trying to get out of range, that, including his height and his speed, he's going to be a lot of problems for Tank. But I'm not going to get no further than that. Brendan Smith said, I'm thinking that King Ryan and Tank is the biggest fight that could be made just because people at my gym are talking about it who don't know boxing. So, Brendan, here's the thing. You have an idea of what this fight is going to do because both of these guys have done a great job at promoting themselves. They've done a great job at promoting themselves. To be honest with you, Tank has benefited from being around Floyd. Let's just keep it real. Because Tank is not a real boisterous guy. But Ryan Garcia brings a certain fan base. Tank Davis brings a certain fan base. This fight is going to do numbers because the masses is going to buy it. The regular fans, the Brennan, like you said, the ones that don't know boxing like that, they're going to pay for this pay-per-view. Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia will sell more than Spence Crawford. Spence Crawford is a better fight, but Tank and Ryan are the bigger names in terms of popularity to the common boxing fan. You understand what I'm saying? So this is a premier matchup from that aspect. Brennan said, I'm big Tank Davis fan. I'm happy that he is back. Brennan, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't want to sound negative, but I just hope everything goes smooth and this fight actually happens. Like, I'm sure they have everything lined up, but I'm not gonna be confident until I see like a press conference. Like, once I see a press conference, then I'm gonna really, really get hyped. You know what I mean? Bruce Gaz, Boxing Jazz, and more, man. Salute my brother G5, man. Bruce, what's going on, good brother? Always good to see you. Always good to have you on, man. Definitely go follow Bruce Gaz, Boxing Jazz, and more, man. One of my favorite channels going, period, man. Especially if you were OG in the game, man. Bruce give you the throwback content, Tuesday night fights, um, you know, interview some of our good legends in the sport of boxing, man. And he taps you in with what's current, like just one of the most versatile channels you're gonna find, man. You know what I'm saying? And he puffed the good green too, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, my man Bruce, that's my guy, man. Big shout out to Bruce. Go subscribe to Bruce Gaz, Boxing Jazz, and more, man, for sure. Now, Tank Davis, Hector Luis Garcia, bro, it's crazy that this fight is even happening because we was on the last podcast and Vlog and I running down different names that Tank can fight, and we literally pulled up PBC's list. You know what I'm saying? Pulled up PBC's list of fighters they had between 130 and like 147. And I was like, yeah, he could fight Hector Luis Garcia. I said, but I don't know if he'll be able to get away with that on pay-per-view. Come to find out, here it is on pay-per-view, but the Ryan Garcia fight is followed like right behind it. And I think people are losing sight on how bad of a pay-per-view main event this is because they think they're getting a Tank Ryan Garcia fight. But this is a bad main event for a pay-per-view. I just want to make that clear. And that's no hatred, none of that. I'm a big Tank fan. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad he's going to get a shot against a premier name in a division. But this fight should not be on pay-per-view. Let's make that clear. Bruce laughing. Yeah, my man puffed that good green, man, for sure. Vinnie Mac, he said, big shout out to Vinnie Mac, man. He said, isn't Tank going to jail? So Tank has a court case, I think. I want to say December is the next month. He does have a court case coming up, but Vinnie Mac, let me tell you something. When you have an event that's millions of dollars, they're not going to put it on unless they have a pretty good idea that Tank is gonna avoid jail time. I don't know if they're gonna come up with a plea deal. I don't know if they're gonna ask for a postponement, a delay, anything to get this fight on and going. I don't anticipate Tank Davis going to jail. The charges against him are serious, anything vehicular. I know people that have died from, vehicular accidents, things like that. So it's very serious. But I think you can book it that he's not going to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So, he's definitely going to go to court. And Vinny, they just going to take it from there, man. They're going to take it from there. But I honestly, I like the fight with him and Hector Garcia. I just don't like it on pay-per-view. Hector Garcia obviously got something rolling with them gloves, man. Like, he definitely got some smoke in them gloves. Like, Chris Colbert is one of the biggest talkers you're going to find, one of the most confident guys you're going to find in the sport of boxing. So for him to not only win, but take Chris Colbert's will to win. Chris Colbert didn't try to win that fight after a certain amount of time in the ring with Hector Garcia. So he took his will away in that fight. And it looked like it was a situation where he didn't like how them punches felt at all. And he just wanted to get to the final bell. Now it's going to be interesting to see how Hector Garcia approaches this fight with Tank Davis. Let's be clear. Tank is the more talented fighter. He's the quicker fighter, the stronger fighter, the faster fighter, the more powerful fighter, KO power. Everything, if there was a checklist, everything would go to Tank Davis. Defensively, everything would go to Tank Davis. But the one thing about Hector Garcia, he's a fighter. He's a fighter. He's going to go in there and he's going to fight. And he got a lot of confidence right now. He's coming off that Chris Colbert win. A lot of people were saying that Hector Garcia might be a tougher matchup than Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to find out. We're definitely going to find out. But I'm letting y'all know now, I'm definitely not paying for it. It's going to be in D.C., man. I would actually love to go to that. I would actually love to go to that fight. I don't think I would get any credentials for it. I would have to pay to get in the building, but I wouldn't mind actually going to that fight. That fight's going to be one thing about Tank. The crowds that come for him is crazy. The atmosphere be insane. Like, it'd be absolutely insane. YSM said we out. Yeah, that's gonna be a crazy, crazy atmosphere, man. That's gonna be a crazy atmosphere. Again, I don't like it on pay-per-view. I get it, I understand it, but I don't like it on pay-per-view, and I'm gonna keep it consistent. I don't like Bud Crawford and Evan Egan on pay-per-view, so I'm damn sure not gonna like Tank Davis and Hector Garcia, but DC is going to be lit. And I like DC, period. I go to DC all the time, just on some chill shit. You know what I'm saying? But that joint is gonna be insane, bro. That's gonna be insane, man. Big shout out to YSM Sports Media, man. Hottest media dude in the game, man. You better believe it. You know what I'm saying? But Tank, I'm kind of curious to see what the undercard gonna be. I wanted to see him fight. I mean, I get why they picked Garcia, but I would have loved to see him fight Gary Russell. Like, that'd have been a real good fight. Been a really, really good fight, especially in DC. Tank fight's gonna do numbers anyway, live gate. You know what I'm saying? But just the atmosphere in DC is just gonna be insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can put Tank in DC, he gonna pop off. You can put Tank in New York, he gonna pop off. You can put Tank in Atlantic City, he gonna pop off. You can put Tank in California, he's gonna pop off. You can put him in Vegas, he gonna pop off. Like, Tank's a star. Like, let's get it clear. He's a star, like, for sure. It doesn't reflect all the time with the pay-per-view numbers, but he's a star for sure. Vinny Mac, do you put a lot of stock in Hector beating Colbert? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Vinny, I'm gonna tell you why. Because first of all, Hector Garcia did something that he wasn't supposed to do. Right? He wasn't supposed to beat Chris Colbert. He wasn't supposed to beat Chris Colbert. So that's why I'm putting stock into it. That's number one. Number two, it's the way he beat Chris Colbert. Like Chris Colbert quit without quitting. You understand what I'm saying? Like Chris Colbert just wanted to make it to the final bell. He wasn't fighting to win rounds. He wasn't fighting to try to win the fight. He was fighting to survive. He was fighting not to get knocked out. So you have to put stock into that. Now, does that make a difference in terms of what's going to happen with Tank? No, it doesn't. But you want to see a guy that's going to fight Tank come off of a solid victory. And that's a real solid victory for Hector Garcia. He's going to come up and wait. But, we're going to see what happens, though. We're going to see what happens. Vinnie Mac, some people are saying Hector might be Tank's toughest test on resume. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I would actually, to be honest with you, on paper, people will say Leo Santa Cruz, but I don't agree with that. I think if I would say Tank's toughest opponents, I would say Mario Barrios is one. I would say at the time, Pedraza two, and Leo Santa Cruz three. The reason why I have Leo Santa Cruz three is because Leo Santa Cruz was the smaller fighter going into the fight, and he don't punch hard. You know what I'm saying? Like he don't punch hard at all. At least with Pedraza, I put Pedraza second in terms of toughest opponent because with Pedraza, Tank came out and said he wasn't ready for Pedraza. He said Floyd tried to set him up. He said Floyd tried to set him up with the Pedraza fight. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, yeah, I would say in that order. You know what I'm saying? Mario Barrios, Pedraza, Leo Santa Cruz, and then probably Rolly four. I thought Rolly was doing okay, prior to getting knocked out. You know what I'm saying? So where would I put Hector Garcia? Vinny, it's kind of hard to say. It's kind of hard to say. Like Hector Garcia is coming off of a big victory, but it's against a guy that was a weight class below where Tank is going to fight, and you don't know where this fight is going to be at. You don't know if it's going to be at 135, 140, in between 135 and 140. We don't know where this fight is going to be. We all know that Tank looks way more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? He looked way more comfortable at 140. Why, Sam, what's going on, good brother?
Hey, we at DC with it, Jeff.
Hey, bro, that joint gonna be crazy. I'm putting my time in that thing, bro. I be in DC just on some regular stuff. Like
Yeah,
that's gonna be good. DC is, bro.
I only been to DC once, but I like the vibe, man.
Oh, bro, DC is crazy,
Let me
bro.
find out you be down at Howard, Jeff.
No, I'll be down at Howard, but bro, DC is definitely the vibe, man. Like that joint gonna be crazy because it's you got DC, then basically like Virginia. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be like that whole mix. Like you been to U Street?
No, when I was down
Oh,
there, I was
bro.
19.
Oh man. Yeah, it's a joint. I guess it's similar to like South Street back in the day. We was young pups running around. That's what U Street is down there. So I was down there maybe about a year ago. Matter of fact, it was longer than that. It was pre-COVID. It was pre-COVID, bro. It was literally it was like a rooftop deck party. This joint had like four different levels to it. It had like fire pits and all that all at the top. All chicks, just through the whole goddamn building. And that same police was jam-packed for a day party. It was like 12 noon the next day. It was lit.
Yo, when I went down there, what I noticed that there's a bunch of Denise Huxtables floating around.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And fellas, y'all should know what I mean, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you don't, you need to look it up for sure. No, that's a fact.
A bunch of them.
That's a fact, bro. Like, and I don't even do like the strip club thing. Like, we went to one. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
you went to stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about stadium.
Bro. They was Texas built in that joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, they was Texas built in that joint.
It was built for tough.
They was built for tough, bro. They was built like the old school Range Rovers, man. Just
shit.
They, yeah, man. I'm like, God damn. Like, it's crazy. Have they said anything about the undercard for Tank and Garcia?
I know one person that's gonna be fighting on that card.
Okay. I'm assuming they should get Gary on there. Gary should.
No, it's not gonna be Gary. It was a choice between Gary and Boots.
Okay. And it's crazy because like even with Boots, like I hate having conversations with people about Boots because it comes down to the same thing. Like they'll be like, oh well, he ain't fought nobody, this and the third. And I'm like, your favorite fighter is asking anywhere between $5 to $10 million to strap up and fight. Like, you're pricing yourself out. So it's just like I tell people I'm from Philly, right? I tell people I'm from Philly. First thing they be like, oh well, how good you think Boots is? And I tell them, I'll be like, listen, he's the best physical talent I've seen since Roy. Like, no exaggeration. And they were like, well, but he ain't fought nobody yet. And I'm like, you can run down probably the top 10 dudes at welterweight, and they're going to ask for career high paydays to fight him.
Hey, Jeff, you know what's crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Is that somebody made this comment, and I was like, damn. And they was like, well, he ain't proved nothing yet. And he said, by your favorite fighter not wanting to get in the ring with him, that proves something. And I sat back and I'm like, damn, like, if they saw something, they would hop in there.
Yeah.
If you saw something that you could capitalize on, if you felt like it'd be worth it. No, the reason why they don't feel like he's worth it is because they know he's gonna be a tough out. Yeah, bro, I heard Cody Crowley ask for a 7-piece nugget.
I heard the same thing, bro.
Oh, so it's coming down, bro.
Yeah. It's
a 7-piece nugget,
bro. With the sauce, man. I said, God damn. I'd rather a fighter just be like, I'd rather go in a different direction. I'd rather hear that than, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather hear that because that's basically what you're telling me is like you don't want the fight. Like, I heard that I think it was Boozy that said that Sheedy turned down the fight.
Yep.
Sheedy would get mangled, so I mean I understand it.
I wasn't mad at him, Jeff. The only thing that I'm frustrated about is that don't say in interviews that you'll take the fight right now, because you won't. It's cool for you not to be ready. You only fought 1 round in 2 years. I get it, but don't say you'll take it.
Right, because you smoke. So all cap at the end of the day, and it's going to take the only people that are getting in the ring with him is dudes that don't know no better. The foreign guys, like the UK guys, the Mexicans, like they're the ones that they don't care. Like you show them the check, they gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like what do you want the man to do? Like like they're putting in petitions. They're like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're putting in petitions to get their shot. At this point, I'm like, Bud and Spence is holding up the division. That's where I'm at with it. You know what I'm
Earl
saying?
Smith, Earl Smith, and Terrence Crawford definitely holding up the division.
They're holding up the division. Like, I'm like, if y'all want to do this whole song and dance, like that's cool. But at the end of the day, I'm like, y'all holding up the division. Because I'm like, Boots is supposed to get his opportunity. I still don't agree with Keith Thurman. Like, he hasn't done anything to get the opportunity, but he has it. So, um, yeah, they just holding up the division, man. Like, they're holding up the division. Like, we should be. I think the only dude that'll probably get in the ring with Boots and not ask for no crazy amount of money, it might be Virgil. Virgil
Yo,
might jump in the ring with him and ask for the 7-piece nugget.
hey Jeff, I'm gonna go on mute real fast because where I'm loud, but I'm not gonna get off. I'll be back in like 1 minute.
All right, you got it. Yeah, but it's crazy because like when you talking about Boots and basically what can he do going forward? I mean, literally, like let's go down the list. Like 147 is one of the glamour divisions, but it's really not much for him to do at 47. It's not much for him to do. Spence tied up, Bud tied up. Even if they weren't tied up, more than likely they're not going to fight him. If they call Spence tonight and say, hey, you either got to sign up and fight Boots or drop the IBF belt, he's going to drop the IBF belt. He's not going to fight Boots. So you take them two. You take other guys at the weight. Sean Porter's retired. You take Ugas. Ugas is coming off of an eye injury. So more than likely, he wouldn't take that fight. You know what I'm saying? You got a Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is basically fighting at 54 now. So you got Cody Crowley. He asking for the 7-piece nugget with the sauce to fight. And for the people that don't know, that's $7 million. He's asking for $7 million to fight Boots. You know what I'm saying? And it's just you got Rashidi Ellis. Rashidi Ellis is not going to take the fight. Like, so we're like 7, 8 names deep. Virgil Ortiz, he said a year ago that fight wouldn't happen for another 3, 4 years. So we still about a good 2, 3 years off on their timeline. So that's not going to happen. So when you really look at it, and I'm talking about the people that get in these chat rooms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and they say what his Boots done. I think the more important question is what can he do? What can he do? You run down the top 10 guys at 147 pounds. There's not one person that's raising their hand up like, yo, I'll take the fight if you give me this amount, and it's a reasonable amount.
Hey, Jeff, the crazy thing is this. That same person will tell you that Terrence Crawford is the #1 welterweight in the division. And you'll ask him who's he for. Oh, well, they don't want to fight Bud. They scared of Bud. But meanwhile, we'll tell you what his Boots done. Same dude.
It's crazy. And Bud give it to you every time. Like Bud delivers every time inside the ring. I love Bud. But the thing about it is he put himself in a situation where, listen, get your money. Get your money. Like Bob Arum was throwing in the bag. He basically had the same contract as Tim Bradley. He had the same contract as Tim Bradley. Same guarantee.
They got a uniform contract over there.
Yeah, that thing is was it one size fit all? If you a star, that you get that one standard contract. So that's what Bud was getting, but he put himself in a situation where he knew his promoter wasn't gonna go across the street and actively try to get him a fight. The only reason he got the Sean fight is because Sean said it was his last fight, and I was pretty much like, fuck it, just go ahead and you know what I'm saying, go ahead and take the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Which Al will do if it makes sense.
Yes.
And I want to get that out the way too, because a lot of people think Al don't want to send nobody across the street. If you actually look at Al's track record, and we're talking about guys that he's actually sent across the street, he's actually sent a pretty good amount of guys across the street. It's two things with Al. Number one, it has to make sense. Number one, he still has to have control while they're across the street.
Yep.
It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Danny been fighting across the street for so long, people forget that he's still with Al.
Oh, you talking about Danny Jacobs? Yeah.
Yeah, Jacobs. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, and the crazy thing is, dudes like, oh, he's not with Al. When he did the interview, they said, well, what happened to you and Al Heyman? Oh, yeah, I'll still member of my team and da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
Advisor. Like, every fighter that fights on PVC is not an Al Heyman fighter. PVC is a TV show. Al Heyman advises and manages fighters. That's his job.
Right. And it's when you got that advisor hat, now the only concern I have with Al is really just the network situation. Long term. He got so many fighters, you know what I'm saying? And this is probably the only thing that make you scratch your head with Al is because you have so many guys and they get paid well, but you don't see them that often. It's kind of hard to turn a guy into a star or a superstar when you don't see them that much, like actually doing their job. You know what I mean? And in the sports world, a star is born by them being great at some point in time when they're doing their job. So take a Gary Russell, for example. We love Gary. We just feel like he just don't fight enough. You know what I'm saying? We know why. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
We know why. But he's an example. Like I felt like Gary Russell should have been a star 5 years ago. He should have been a star 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But when you don't see somebody in front of your camera for such a long time, it's hard to develop star. And I remember you doing an interview with Steven Espinoza, and you asked him, like, what do you have to do to create? I don't even think you said a pay-per-view star. I think you said just a star, period. And it was funny because he had this look on his face like, I wasn't expecting that question. And he kind of just gave you a general answer like, hey, it's a lot of variables. Yeah, he was like, yeah, it's a lot of variables that go along with it and all this and all that. And I was just like, he was just skipping all around it. But the thing about it, I'm like, PBC being the TV show that it is, I'm like, they should have a couple of stars right now, and they don't have it because I feel like Showtime should, you know how HBO back in the day, they had a lot of fighters, but they had the good core 5-6 guys that they featured. You knew you was going to see them a couple times a year. Even if they weren't fighting, they would be announcing, but like you constantly seeing them. Like, there's no reason why Boots hasn't had a main event on Showtime. Like, it's no excuse for it. Like, he should have been highlighted. And I'm not talking about just I'm not talking about Showbox. I'm talking about the big, you know what I'm saying? Like we talking the big boy stage. Like they should have been featuring Boots for the past like 2 years.
All right, so it's a lot to unpack. That's the one valid criticism that anybody can say about Al. Al has too many fighters, and these guys don't want to fight off TV, so they'll sit around and wait for dates. Al actually will let like the lower to mid-tier guys fight on local cards. The problem is them dudes don't like them local card paydays.
Right.
So
right.
It's a sense that I think Al's gonna have to do something. Maybe Black Prime and Al Heyman, they need each other in regards to he needs platforms to keep his lower to mid-tier guys active, and Black Prime, they need guys for their cards.
Go ahead. So Black Prime still hasn't really come out and really said like what their intentions are like long term in terms of boxing. Like, do you think they're kind of in it to stay, or they're kind of just seeing things out right now and see how it go.
I talked to the president.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking to make a splash. I got the vibe that if this goes well, we're going to see a lot more cards. Put it like this: Terrence Crawford and AB isn't the only A-level quality fighters they've been talking to. I'm talking about talent. I ain't talking about drawing power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Man,
because I
fucking you,
didn't.
my man. They've been talking to Andre too.
Now and I knew you was going there, so I had a guy. It was probably maybe 2 shows ago. Shane was in here, Vlog was in here, so he was like he was a part of Andre's camp. I said, okay, cool. So and here he go, the guy Ghost. Ghost, what's going on, bro? He said Black Prime hasn't shown the ability to do an event yet. They talking a good game, but it's a lot they need to do. They approached Demetrius a while ago. So Ghost spoke himself up. So YSM, this is the guy that I was talking about. He said he's in his camp. Big
Yeah, he
shout out to
100%
you,
right
Ghost.
though.
Yeah. So Ghost, if I'm not mistaken, you said he's actually with Salida now. Am I correct?
Yeah, to my knowledge, he was Salida.
Yeah. He said, I told you about it, that Black Prime thing a few shows ago, if you remember. I was literally getting ready to talk to YSM about that. But yeah, Ghost basically was like, he's on Salida. So I said, all right, well, if he wanted, I guess for the right opportunity, if he wanted to just sign directly with Al, would it be a problem with the transfer? He was pretty much like, no, he said he'd been with Salida since June of 21. And go, and you know the thing that's crazy. You know the thing that's crazy about that, like that's not common knowledge.
What? That he's with Salida?
Yeah, that's not common knowledge. You ask the common fan that no.
I realized that when I saw the paperwork with Janabek and him, it said Salida Promotions on it. So I'm like, oh, okay, he was
Yeah,
Salida now.
yeah, and
Um,
the thing is, like, go ahead, bro.
I got a question for Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost, can I expect Damon Nicholson?
I heard that too. It's a good question. Ghost, Damon Nicholson, what we got, bro? Because the thing with Andre, I feel like now he got a good. I think he should go on like maybe like a 4 or 5 fight run and just rock with Al. Just rock with Al and like because he can get a good 4 or 5 fights in and it'll really be like, you know what I'm saying? Like he can do some damage. Win or lose. Win or lose. Like he can really do some damage in terms of opponents. Like he can really get some quality fights. It's just with Andre is just when he tried to get himself aligned, it's just Eddie Hearn did him really, really bad. He did him
He didn't do a good job.
Yeah, he did him really, really, really bad. Ghost, and I hope you like. Of course, we don't get on here like Millie and I like we don't get on here disrespect nobody, nothing like that. But the reason why Andre signed on to Eddie the first time is because when you actually look at it, the bigger fights that he could have got was through Eddie. Like it was through Eddie. Like he had Canelo. He had a couple other fights that he could have got the Billy Joe Saunders fight. So we understood it the first time. We understood it the first time why he signed on with Eddie. This is where I'm like, what Eddie did with Andre was like manager negligence. Like it was criminal, damn near. So Ghost, I'm a rewind. Millie, you probably know where I'm going with this. So you take Andre, right? Billy Joe Saunders fight falls apart. He's on the finest juices. This is what Eddie should have did. When Billy Joe came back, he should have said, we're fighting Andre or you're on the shelf.
True.
Am I lying?
You're right. Shit, if he had to do a catch weight, he should have did a catch weight.
He should have did a catch weight. But you promised that man an opportunity. Andre went through basically not even the physical camp, just the mental thought of him getting the opportunity that he's been waiting his whole career for, the big name. And he didn't get it because his opponent was on some asthma pump. And he ain't had no asthma. You know what I'm saying? So Eddie Hearn never put Andre first. He never put Andre first. Obviously, DAZN wasn't a big fan of Andre. It's bro, like it's Eddie Hearn's job to sell him to DAZN and whoever else he needed to sell him to, and he just didn't do it. He just chose not to do it. Like it was negligence at his purest form. You know what I'm saying? My guy T Finney in the building, man. Big shout out to you, bro. Go said at YSM, he looking for a get back fight, whoever that is. I can't say a name, as every name he said always fall through, but whoever ready and really wanted, bet. Yeah, I like the thing about Andre now is he should really have some good options right now. L Dub, the plug in the building, man. My guy, what's going on, bro? L Dub goes, yeah, L Dub, man. One of the we call him L Dub the plug for a reason, man. Like, you know what I'm saying?
What up, Dub?
Dub gets you where you need to be for sure. I call him the block Mike Cop. I go to L Dub before I go to Coppinger any day of the week for sure.
Man. Yo, Dub put me on a real good fight that I didn't even know nothing about. Showing that went under my radar.
Yeah. What do he put you on? What do he put you on with?
Joey Spencer versus Jesus.
Oh yeah, bro. Joey might lose that. He might lose that fight, bro.
Joey. That motherfucker's huge, bro.
Bro, listen. Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's crazy because you know, it's so many opportunities for guys, man. Like it's so many opportunities for guys. T Finney said G5, are you pulling up to the Tank versus Garcia? Yeah, I gotta go to that, bro. I gotta go to that because Tank, yo, you can feel Tank's atmosphere through the screen, bro. You can feel it through the screen. And I'm talking like even back when he fought like Pedraza, you could feel the energy through the screen, bro. Like it's crazy. Dub said, why son, what's up? Go sell Dub, the #1 boxing source out here. That's a fact, bro. That's a fact. And for anybody that hasn't listened to one of Dub's live shows, man, where he breaks down everything based off the rankings, bro. Like if you haven't listened to one of those shows yet, like you missing out. You're missing out. So he's literally one of the first dudes to actually show me, like, hey, bro, you can actually figure out a whole lot of matchups that's happening based off the rankings and actually following it every month. You know what I'm saying? So no, L Dub is one of the best to do it for sure. T Finney said Hector Garcia. L Dub said good fight. Yeah, that Joey Spencer fight, that's a good fight, bro. Real good fight. My guy Scott in the building. What's going on, Scott? Go to G5. You're 100% about to see a run by Demetrius at 168. It's the hungriest he has been since in years. The way the Benavidez situation happened a few weeks ago, and the way folks talking did something. You know the thing that's crazy, bro. Like Andre, people don't give and Ghost and listen. Like I said, like I rock with Andre. YSM rock with Andre. Like pretty much everybody that's in here right now rock with Andre. The thing is, Andre's had so many fights to not happen when Andre talk, like it just falls on deaf ears. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not even on some disrespectful shit. Like, when you think about it, Andre pretty much give you everything that you want. He give you everything that you want. I'm like, in the ring, he always deliver. You know what I'm saying? He always deliver inside the ring. He talk a good game. You know what I'm saying? And he's not he's not a boring southpaw. He's not the, he's not the Laura back in the day type southpaw, where it's just you might fall asleep watching him fight. You know what I mean? Even though he's good at what he does. So Andre literally gives you everything that you want. It's just nothing's fell through for him. Nothing's fell through for him. So it's just once Andre gets that one opportunity against whoever at 168, that's a solid name, then people are gonna start listening to him. You know what I'm saying? He give you everything that you want to hear, but just people just don't be listening because you can hear Andre's name with like Millie. Stop me when I'm lying. You can hear Andre's name with like 10 different fighters, and you're gonna be like, something's gonna go wrong. And it's like he got the black cat around him. Something's gonna go wrong.
Honestly, what's happened to Andre is just a classic. It wasn't because of the ability. This just shows you what boxing really is. It has nothing to do with how good you are. It has something to do with the moves that are made in the back rooms. That's simple. We sat there, and I blame all of us for this. We sat there and we let Canelo Alvarez call an Olympian, 2-division undefeated fighter, a horrible fighter. We let him get away with that. I'm talking about us as media. Like, we weren't there, Jeff, but we let him get away with that. Why?
Yeah.
Because he sells the most pay-per-views in America? No, man.
Yeah.
No. That was criminal. In no way, shape, or form we should have let him get away with that. Horrible fighter.
You know the thing,
but you fought Rocky Building.
Bro, and to cap that off, bro, Eddie Hearn was laughing when it happened.
Yo,
he was on the podium laughing. Like, I'm like, bro.
But he's supposed to be your promoter, and he kicked you out the press conference.
He's supposed to be a promoter, and he kicked you out the press conference.
Hey, Jeff, I gotta go, man. Thank you for having me.
Bro. Hey, bro. Listen, we gonna wrap that DC thing. We gonna like
I'm booking my stuff tonight, so just let me know. Yo.
Oh shit! All right, well, I'm gonna call you after the joint. I got work tonight, but I'm gonna call you afterwards. Though. You working?
All right, oh no, I'm off, so I'll be on.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm gonna show back. I get off here, bro.
All
right, bro. That's YSN Sports Media, man. The hottest media dude out there, man, for sure. L Dub, he said Demond Nicholson will be a great return fight for Andre if he really serious about a title run at 168. Dub, we was just talking about that. I think that'll be a great look for him. I think that'll be a really good look for him. And I almost feel like Andre has to start rebuilding himself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about in terms of the boxing public. And I think it starts with him separating himself from the Canelo name. I feel like a lot of people just don't like Andre because he was challenging Canelo. Like, he was doing what he was supposed to be doing. And I feel like a lot of people just gave Andre pushback because he was challenging Canelo to a fight. He's been challenging Canelo for years. It's kind of like Chris Colbert. A lot of people don't like Chris Colbert because of a comment that he made about Wilder. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just some people, like, if you coming at them, like, people just, like, some of these boxing fans is going to turn on you. So I feel like Andre got to string, like, 2 fights together. Like, a Demond Nicholson is a good fight, really solid fight at 168 pounds. Be honest with you, I wish he could have I wish he could get like a John Ryder fight, like at 68. That'd be a really good fight, for him as well. Go said L Dub 68 next, unless Mr. WBC decides to face his fears. We'll see him at 68 then, because he ain't going to do that. But it's so many like 160 and 168, they just need to combine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a lot of action going on at 68. It's not a lot of action going on at 60. And these guys just need to get together and fight. So you got Jamal Charlo. His name is ice cold in these streets right now. Jaime Munguia just fought, but the common fan may not even have known that he just fought. His name is ice cold in these streets right now. Gennady Golovkin, we don't know what he's gonna do right now. He got his third Canelo fight. So he's just kind of just out there. You got Benavidez Plant. That's a really good fight. You got David Morrell now. He's killing it. To be honest with you, I'm gonna keep it real. Even though he got knocked out, give me Anthony Durrell. Give me Anthony Durrell at 68. Durrell is at a point now where he really can't say no. He can't say no. He just got knocked out. He can't say no. If he could get Demond Nicholson and Anthony Durrell, that'd be a nice 2-fight run for Andre to get him away from the Canelo name, because we know he's not gonna fight him. We know he's not gonna fight him. It's just it is what it is. But a ghost, man, like keep us posted as far as Andreed and the Demond Nicholson situation. Like I said, I don't know if you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't know where you at, but definitely follow me, G5 Jeff TV, man, or shoot me a message or something, man, so we can keep in contact. Andre, that's my guy. For real, it's just you just want to see a guy with that type talent, bro. I wrote an article on Andre. It might have been a year and a half ago, and I never dropped it. Because I sent it to another publication because I was writing for them, and they like just never responded to it. So I still have it, and it's still true to this day. Like, I haven't edited the article or nothing. Like, it was completely done. Like, I actually want to send it to you. If you want to leave your social media or whatever, so you can actually read it. I think I wrote it like over a year ago. It might have been a year and a half ago. So I definitely want to get that to you so you can read it. But yeah, like just the like I said, the Hector Garcia Tank Davis fight, like, we get it. It's a preliminary fight before the Ryan Garcia fight. We definitely get it. I expect Tank to win the fight. For me, I can see if the Hector Garcia Chris Colbert fight was at 135 and he did that, then I'd be like, cool. But it wasn't at 135. So I don't know how Hector Garcia is cracking at 35 or a higher weight if Tank wants it. You know what I'm saying? Tank may say 137, 138, so he's not draining himself down. And we're going to see. Ghost said, I'll DM you on IG after the stream, and for sure, King, I'll pass it along to Paul and others too. No, we appreciate that, man. Definitely appreciate that, man, for sure. But I also heard that Ryan Garcia, Dub, I don't know if you're still listening, but I heard that Ryan Garcia is supposed to be fighting on January 21st. That's what I heard. I don't know. They were saying it's supposed to be Jojo Diaz possibly, but they're looking at a January 21st date. So we're gonna see how that plays out. But it's just I want to see just good fights. It don't matter if it's local fights. Like YSM said, man, a lot of these PBC guys, they don't like them local card paychecks. You know what I'm saying? So they just waiting on dates. And the thing with Al, I just think Al got too many fighters and not enough networks to throw them around. And I don't know if with the zone, I don't know if they have I don't know if like Golden Boy or Eddie Hearn has like a no compete clause with the zone to where PBC fighters can't really come over there like on a consistent basis. But Al might need to start sending his guys over there to get fights because they're getting consistent, fights and things like that. And I think he definitely needs to do that. Like if he can't send them on the local cards, like so for instance, like you take Hank Lundy and Shinar Bunch, like that fight's going down in a couple weeks, and that's a really good fight. That's a really good fight, but it's on a local card though. It's on a local card. Like a PBC guy is not gonna go on that local card to fight. You understand what I'm saying? So he really stuck between a rock and a hard place, with that situation with Al and all his fighters and all of that. But at the end of the day, like, we just want to see things change to where a true fight that belongs on pay-per-view, we're getting it on pay-per-view, and a true fight that don't belong on pay-per-view, we're getting it on TV. We're getting it on TV, we're getting it free, and we're able to see it. Like, think about it like this before we go. Like, we got Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano twice on free TV, but you made me pay for Chris Areola and Andy Ruiz. You made me pay for Charles Martin and Luis Ortiz. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I get it business wise, but just like realistically, it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? But that's something I'm gonna always talk about. Um, it's fights like Tank and Ryan Garcia that belongs on pay per view. Spence Crawford that belongs on pay per view. If Spence was the fight Boots or Bud was the fight Boots, that belongs on pay per view. You understand what I'm saying? Um, if Bud was to move up and wait and fight Jermell Charlo, that belongs on pay per view. There's a lot of fights that belong on pay per view. Now, take like a Benavidez and Caleb Plant. Me personally, do I think that's pay per view worthy? Yes, I think that's pay per view worthy. Not on the level of a Spence Crawford, but I do think that's a really, really good fight. And I think if they put that on pay per view, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. Like Beterbiev and Bivol, that is a pay per view fight. That's a pay per view fight. You understand what I'm saying? It's just certain guys that supposed to have that pay per view billing, and we're just getting any and everybody on pay per view now. So I just want for us to get back to the guys that deserve the pay per view slots in terms of main events. Give those guys those slots and give them quality opponents. That's all we asking for, man. But we gonna close this out, man. Hour 17 minutes strong, man. My man YSM came in here, held it down for me. Big shout out to YSM, man. Give a quick roll call, man. My man Ghost, man. Big shout out to Ghost. Definitely looking forward to your DM, man. Let's keep in contact for sure, man. My guy L Dub the plug. Best source in boxing. Hands down, one of the best boxing minds you're gonna find. My guy Scott, man, that's family for sure. Big shout out to you, T Finney, part of the team, man. Big shout out to T Finney. Who else we had up in here? Vinny Mac, big shout out to Vinny Mac. Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. Big shout out to him. Brennan Smith, big shout out to him. And my guy Tristan Tree James was in the building, man. Big shout out to Tree. Definitely go follow YSM Sports Media, man. Hottest media dude out there in the game right now, man. Like, I know him personally, and he's the hardest working dude I know, period. Point blank, period, hands down. Like, he's the hardest working dude I know, period, man. Like, so, you got to give a person his flowers while he's still around, man. So, that's definitely us, giving him his flowers, man. Like, we admire the work that he does, man. Big shout out to YSM Sports Media. Definitely go subscribe to him. My man L Dub the plug. Definitely go sign up. Follow him on social media. Follow him on Twitter. Like, that's the main place. Follow L Dub on Twitter, man. Like, he's literally, we call him the Block Mike Cop for a reason, man. Like, I go to him before I go to Mike Coppinger. I go to him before I go to any of these quote unquote sources. Like, L Dub, get you right, get you where you need to be. You know what I'm saying? And big shout out to Ty Finney too, man. Go subscribe to his channel. Podcast as well, man. We're gonna try to jump on there with him next time he does it. Who else we got? Let me see. And my guy Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more, man. Definitely go subscribe to him. One of my favorite YouTube channels. Period, man. Like, he just give you everything that you need in that channel, man. We got to get my man Tree James on the show, man. my Iowa Cats, man, Tristan Tree James, Coach Pepe Pena, got to get him up here. Lance Lamb Down Williams, got to get him up here. Jason Phillips, he got a victory. We gotta rap with him. Chino, T Woods, Cruz Hitman, still my guys, man. My guys from out of Iowa, man. We gotta get them back on the show, man. Get them, get them back in front of the camera, man, so we can talk this boxing thing. But listen, this was a fun one, man. Like whenever I'm on solo, I never know how it's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? I will sit and literally talk boxing for hours by myself. You know what I mean? That's how much I love the sport. But you never know how the show gonna go. But this one was fire. Like this one was definitely fire, man. Big shout out to YSM for pulling up on me. And listen, this was episode 146 of the Goodfellas podcast, man. Y'all go follow me on all the social medias, man. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything G5 Jeff TV. And VP Shane, you can follow him on Instagram at I_am Shane, the number one. You see it right there. Follow VP Shane on Instagram at I_am Shane, the number one. And Boxing First Vlog, you can follow him on his social medias, Instagram and Twitter at Boxing the number one ST vlog. That's on Instagram. And then it's just Boxing First Vlog on Twitter. So definitely follow him on there, man. Definitely hit that like button for your boy. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to be back tomorrow, man, with episode 147. Hopefully we'll have Vlog in here. We'll have Shane in here. And I'm going to start dropping a link in the chat, more often just to give guys opportunity to come in here, talk they talk. You know what I mean? But this was a good one, man. Episode 146 of the Goodfellas podcast. We'll be back tomorrow for 147. Appreciate y'all. Peace.